Hi friends, my name is Jake. Welcome to Canadian Cutting Edge, and I've got an exclusive for you today. This is the Kizer Sway Back by Swag's Design. It's a classic sway back. It's not a huge knife. It's just barely under 3 inches for those of you who live in jurisdictions where there's 3-inch laws. We've got a button lock. Usually most of them have G10 and N690 steel for $59 US. You get those at White Mountain Knives. Save 10% with coupon code CCE. But I got this one from White Mountain Knives, and it's not G10 and N690. This is a nice rich brown micarta, and we've got 154 cm. And can you guess what he sold it for? $59 US. No wonder they all sold out. The good thing, though, about this exclusive knife is the owner of White Mountain Knives, Justin, can order more. But he wants to make sure that there is enough demand for more. So you can go over to the page. I've got it linked down below, and here's what it looks like on the screen. Go down to the bottom corner there. Well, it goes even longer, but on the corner of that image, there's a little notify me button. Above that, put in your email address, click the notify me. You'll get an email when they get more in stock. If enough people sign up for it, it'll happen in the new year. And talk about a great New Year's present. I'm very happy with this knife, especially this exclusive for $59 US. Let's get over to the tabletop. We'll take a good close look at it. There are some things that I'm not terribly fond of, but what else is new? I'm pretty picky about every single knife, but there's an awful lot of good stuff about this knife as well. So let's get started. Let's start off with our size comparison with the Ontario Rat 1. It's not even going to fit all the way on the screen. Yeah, it's a smaller knife. Let's try to zoom out a little bit if we can. Oh, I'll just lift up the camera for a second. Will be a little bit of motion here, but there you go. Yeah, it's a smaller knife. It's not super tiny, but it's definitely a smaller knife, and that's what it is. We've got a sway back design, which, it's not a super common design, but you can find this on a number of knives. We've got a stretched out Wharncliffe, because we've got that straight edge along here. Got a nice wedge down here. A beautiful stonewash finish on this knife. It says Kizer on the plunge, not on the plunge, beside the plunge, on the bevel right there. The ricasso, we've got the 154 cm right there. On the other side, it says Sway Back on the bevel, and right down there is the specific model number for this one. You can see a little bit of the lock, the hole that they've cut into the blade for the lock right there. I don't like seeing that. I wish they would have found a way to hide that, but there it is. We've got a really nice sharpener's choil in here. It's big enough to be effective, but not oversized. Nice jimping on the spine of the blade right there. Great for extra grip. A fairly delicate tip on this blade. The sharpening wasn't done terribly poorly, but it's not done terribly well either, which I would have hoped it would be done better since they're just doing a straight line. There's no curves or anything, so they should be able to just hold it steady and go straight across. There's not a lot of variability on here. We'll talk about all the angles later on. Pretty good. We've got some nice ball bearings, so when you put in the button, it just wants to fall and swing. So that's very good. Do a little bit sideways. It's just nice. So very free-flowing with those ball bearings. It got a little bit light side to side during my use, so I'm going to grab the T8 instead of the T6. And we're going to snug it up just a little bit until it feels like there's no blade play side to side. And let's see what it looks like then. It falls, but it takes just a little bit of a shake. So it's not super, super flowing, but it still flies open very well when you go to open the knife using that flipper, even though I've tightened it up a little bit. Perhaps it's going to be even better once I get my lubrication in there. My lubrication tends to help knives open better. So it's pretty good. I don't mind that at all. I don't have to have a knife. Well, see, there you go. It wanted to fall. I don't have to have it so super free that it just goes super smoothly, but that's still quite smooth, so I'm glad for that. It did feel like there's probably a little bit of Loctite in there. Certainly there is a D-shaped pivot pin. The flipper, it's got a little bit of jimping, 2 little lines on the front of it. It's great for light switch method. And regular just push over on the flipper tab as well. And I like to use the button like that and just a tiny bit of wrist action to close the knife. And it works really well. It's a cool thing to play with. You can also use the button and a wrist flick to open and close the knife as well. So you've got 2 ways of opening it, with the wrist and the button, or just the flipper. Quite nice. We do have a little bit of a radius here. It does come back up a little bit. It's not just straight on the back. I find this knife not terribly comfortable in the hand. It's not uncomfortable, but when I'm holding the knife like this, it's coming up right here where it pushes, instead of what not normal. A lot of knives have the curve going this way, so it fits within that curve in your hand. This pushes right there. So if that doesn't bother you, well, then that's pretty good. There's no lanyard hole, so there's no paracord piling up to make it even worse. So I guess that's okay. I'm not that much into lanyards anyhow, so it's not bad. The micarta, and I believe the G10 as well, on the G10 versions, is slightly radiused around the edge. The liners have the inner edge rounded off as well, so you don't have sharp edges in there for your hand to get into. So that's quite good. Pocket clip is right or left. We've got the holes for it. It's external button screws. It says Swags right there on the pocket clip for the designer. I do wish that it would be a plain pocket clip and the logo for the designer would be maybe up here on the ricasso, but since it's a longer kind of thing, maybe put Sway Back across on the ricasso and put her logo up there maybe. I don't really like logos on my pocket clips, but it's not like you can find a replacement pocket clip just anywhere, because it's a fairly small pocket clip with those holes fairly close together. So do with it whatever you want when you own the knife, right? Let's see how well it goes into a pocket. Climbs over the edge, goes down, and you just have a little bit sticking out. Not bad at all. Let's take a look at the lock. Maybe you can see in there. I push this button in, and there's a pin and then a wider pin. And when I push the wider pin out of the way, it can close. You can see right there that there's a little bit of a section milled away on an angle, just like the end of a liner lock has. And so when you have it closed, that wider pin comes and sits in that rounded cutaway. Push the button in, and that slides out of the way. So it's a pretty solid lockup, and I've got no complaints with the lock in terms of its sturdiness. By the way, blade centering right there, very close to perfect. I'm quite happy with the blade centering, and it's open pillar construction. 1 pin at the back, and then the pivot pin. And yeah, we've got recessed button screws that are T6, which I don't like, and you've heard that song and dance enough times that I won't belabor it now. Let's go over all the sizes and dimensions. Try to do it quickly. It weighs 73 grams, 2.55 ounces. The sharpness from the factory was 175 bests. That's worse than average. The cutting edge length, 70.2 millimeters, 2.76 inches. Blade length, tip to the closest spot on the handle, is 75.7 millimeters, 2.98 inches. So those of you who have 3-inch laws that you have to deal with, this passes that requirement. The thickness of the handle, no, the blade thickness, not the handle thickness yet. The blade thickness right there, 2.76 millimeters. That's 0.109. So that's well under 1/8 of an inch. The blade depth is widest right here at the heel of the blade, 19.8 millimeters, 0.779 of an inch. How thin is it behind the grind? 0.43 millimeters, 16.5 thousandths of an inch. That's going to help it a lot after I sharpen it. And let's go see what Bandit's up to. Bandit's trying to protect the house from all the ghouls and goblins that are out trick-or-treating. The grind angle's next. I'll put the average on the screen too, but I haven't done it yet. This one started out at 24 degrees, went to 23.4, 23.9, and ended at 23.3. So that's less than a degree change along the length, so that's good, but it's a little too steep. This side started at 23.2 and went to 16.8, and it was a consistent transition all the way along the length. So whoever was sharpening it was slowly doing a twist from something like this to straighter as they were going along the length of it. Thankfully, there is enough of a flat section up here that I can easily put it into my sharpening system and give it a perfect edge. Hopefully you can too, and if you can't, I'm going to be talking about sharpening systems, budget sharpening systems. I found a really good one, thanks to one of my viewers, for $30 US. Better than the Work Sharp Precision, but I'm going to talk about that too. So, sharpeners. Hopefully you have a good sharpening system that works well for you. And if you don't, stay tuned to CCE. Back to the measurements. The handle length is 101.2 millimeters, 3.98 inches. The grip area, it's a little bit over 9 centimeters or 3.5 inches, but not quite enough to say 9.5 and 3.75. The thickness of the handle is 13.1 millimeters, which is 0.516 of an inch, so no complaints there. The handle depth within the grip, it's biggest right there, 21.6 millimeters, 0.85 of an inch. And the knife depth when it's closed is here at the flipper, and that is 26.9 millimeters, 1.06 inches. And the total length of this knife is 176.9 millimeters, not centimeters, millimeters, which is, just at 7 inches, very close to that. So that's pretty nice. Like I said, it's $59 American. In Canada, House of Knives, I just checked today on October 31st, they've got the red G10, and it's $87.99 on sale. I don't have any idea when that sale ends. Regularly, it's like $111 or something. But Blades Canada has got it in 2 colors. I think the green and the purple G10 for $89.99. But at White Mountain Knives, if you buy this after the exchange rate and you take your 10% off, it's about $66. So, yeah, you pay a 23, almost over 25% more to get it in Canada. So you make your choice of where you want to buy it. I did find that Knives and Tools had the best price I could find in the European Union, and it's 59.95 euros. They've got 2 different G10 versions of this thing. Let's summarize what I like and am not that fond of on this thing. I like the button lock. I'm not that fond of the cutout. We've got a V groove, at least it's rounded on the bottom. Everything else about this knife has got flowing curves except for this straight edge. I think I'd like it if the cutout for this was flowing a little bit too. It's got easy access in there. They could have made it, sort of a rounded, curved hole or access spot. It's not a big deal. Pivot screws really nice, high quality steel. The steel here is quite nice as well. I am still going to do a teardown. The screw goes in quite well. There's not an awful lot of play here, just a little bit of play. So that's quite nice. Pocket clip also has button screws, but again, they're good quality screws, and the screwdriver sinks in quite a ways, so I like that. So it's built quite well. Since we're on the topic of screwdrivers, let's open it up and show you the insides. This is my first time taking it apart. Yeah, there's definitely Loctite in there. It's fighting me all the way. So I'm going to take my time so I don't go too fast. Because if I slip out, like I almost did there, then I'm going to mar the edge of that screw. This is one of the reasons I like these T-shaped drivers, because I can get much better torque on it. So that actually looks cleaner than I thought it would, but there you go. And let's do this one. Yeah, this one doesn't have any Loctite on it. Get those out of the way. There you can see the skeletonizing. Let's take this lock off. Or not the lock, the liner. Let's undo the lock so we can take the liner off. Give it a wiggle. There is that nice D-shaped pivot pin that you can see. And I'm going to put this in here and just push this off a little bit. There we go. Ding! There goes the spring. We've got some really fine ball bearings on here, but they are ceramic ball bearings, which I like. And there's the cutout. You can see the cutout there for the stop pin. And here's the button lock. And this is a cone shape. And it just merges with that cutout section there. It just fits in right there. So they push past each other to create tension and squeezing in there. So quite nice. Very simple construction. I quite like it a lot. Nice sharpness choil I already talked about. I like that. I like the jimping on here. The lock works well. It's a reasonable pocket clip on here, which I don't mind at all. It's got decent hand feel, but that's sort of on the okay level. That's not good, and it's not bad either. The branding on it, there's quite a lot on here, but it's not too terribly large, and it's not too terribly bold, so I'm not going to complain about that much either. The cons, it might be a con for you about how delicate this tip is, because it's not that thick of a piece of steel, and it does get a little bit thin at the tip. And, since I've got all these Kizers, and I haven't been reviewing them, I meant to review them in October, but I just didn't, at least one of them. I got to get 2 of them done first thing in October. So there you go, the Sway Back. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. And remember, friends, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb. Bye for now.